There we go. Third time's the charm. All right, my cats. Together. Yes. We're recording. Is that okay with everybody? So we've had some birthdays and some anniversaries that need to be addressed. Jennifer Coriel, I think I saw you on Zoom. Are you here? Or Bryn?
Hi, good morning. I'm here.
Good morning.
Good morning. What'd you guys do?
Let's see. For my birthday, this was the 21st anniversary of my 21st birthday. And we, let's see, went to dinner with family, and then I had my coworkers over and I played Cards Against Humanity for the first time. It was really fun.
Oh, awesome. Susan is not here, but if you've gotten a birthday card or an anniversary card from Rotary, Susan is doing that. So we just want to celebrate her.
Are we sending her one?
In absentia.
Do we need to make sure to send her one?
Yes.
Okay.
I just learned it was it's tomorrow, so.
So you're not late.
Get to writing. Steve McCamey, not here. Okay. Hi. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. So I always remember Jennifer's birthday because she was born on her anniversary. So that's cool. We have our kitchen torn up. That's what we're doing for our anniversary.
And it's not a big deal at all.
No, it's only half the kitchen, so it's not really that terrible. But Marty's been enjoying washing the dishes in the backyard because he says it's like camping, which. But I noticed when we got our temporary sink put into it yesterday, the dishes weren't done, so I guess it's back to being my job, which is fine. That's cool. And our friend Linda is visiting us from Monterey.
Hello. So
I made beef stroganoff for dinner that night, and even ate noodles for the first time in about 8 months. It was wonderful. We didn't so that's good. And my birthday, I was not gone last week, so we can talk about my birthday, which was the 4th, and it was the day of the district governor's dinner visit. So I told Vanessa, I hope there'd be birthday cake at the board meeting dinner, and indeed there was, and we had a great time. Thank you very much. It was fun. It kind of takes the pain out of Asia to have great friends.
Romy, you're not on this list because you were here the day after.
I was
Would you
here,
like to
yeah.
share?
Well, you know what? Actually, I didn't share because my birthday's the same day as yours. But I couldn't make it to that, and I was really bummed about that. But my mom's traveled up to be with me on my birthday, and so I had to be with them. But what was so cute is I got a little visit afterwards, and they brought me a piece of cake from them and some flowers, and it almost made me cry. So I got to feel like I was a little bit part of it. It was wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, God.
And neither Ray nor Randy are here. Happy anniversary to them. We have a guest in the back.
Yes, Anastasia.
Hi, Anastasia. Welcome. Okay. Welcome. Highway cleanup is tomorrow.
Yes.
We still need signups, though. I looked as of last night, yesterday afternoon. We still need signups.
Tomorrow morning, get in, get out, have the rest of your day, 8:30, out at the nature center. We need some help out there. It's like an hour and one and done. So come on out.
Marty is not here, but he needs your help for Oktoberfest. It's coming up quickly. He's reserved the kitchen. Terry knows.
He sent me with messages. He's home because the hardware is getting put on our new cabinets at 8 o'clock. Baby steps. Oktoberfest, cooking at the Arcata Community Center on Friday night beforehand. It's the same as we did last year for Oktoberfest. And he'd really like help with publicity. He's going to put out an email, so he needs help with publicity, with cooking. And we're going to be gone for 10 days in September. Our much delayed in between pieces of the kitchen being put back together trip. So he'll need a little extra help. He'll send out an email, but if you want to reach out to him, that'd be great too, because he threats.
And then Lisa, do you have any? Jeff's not here, so I don't.
No, he's not. So, Taste the Holidays.
Jeff is Jeff is here online. Jeff is zooming in.
Okay. All right, Jeff, tell us the things.
Tell us the things. I think the first thing that I need to do is get the list out for everybody to who was on previously the committee. And if you weren't and want to be, please reach out to Lisa or myself. Say that you're interested in being on the Taste of the Holiday committee. So the Lisa's already reserved the Arcata Community Center for what date is that? Is that the 17th of November?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's set, it's live, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to need a lot of help to pull this off. It's really exciting that everybody's going to be there in person. So this year, and we'll probably also have raffle items for the Taste of the Holidays. So we'll have to set up teams and get that going. So start thinking about it. It's right around the corner.
And really, this is a huge fundraiser for us. So please, please, please participate every step of the way. And then just plan to just be there on the 17th. Thanks, Jeff. Black Humboldt is still taking donations. They're going to pick them up from the Griffin. Thank you to Terry and Pat for bringing clothes, toiletries, gift cards. I haven't heard any word. Have you heard any word about actually participating?
Yes, we're going to meet Mo at the D Street Community Center at 10.
On Saturday. Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful. So you just rush from the highway cleanup and go straight to the community center.
Well, I think today starts with the fun. The fun committee has got a great event here planned, and everybody's welcome to join. Please come on out. First post-time race is at 3:07. You see this? This is my chair. It goes over my shoulder, and I walk in because
I didn't notice the belt.
Oh yeah. Don't look too close because it says I'm a roofer. So we had a lot of stories about picking horses the last couple of days. And last time someone said about taping. And you had a comment? I wouldn't follow her comment last week. She said, picking horses really gets down to real good science if you're just a layman. They got a neat little name next to them. And just kind of how you feel at the moment. You pay, a lot of money, or you pay $2 or whatever to get on the races. Kind of a fun time. So bring a chair, come on out, it's open, it should be.
Or you go eat a corn dog and then just watch.
Or you just do, you don't have to participate, just cheer on the horses and don't have to, bet really, but the betting kind of makes it a little more fun because you're really kind of. Okay.
Get that heart rate up.
Yep. All right, thank you. See you there at 3 o'clock. Come at 4, probably still come at 5 or 6 even, so see you there.
I have mostly first-time freshmen who have moved here from out of the area, and I showed them the lowdown on the West Coast Outpost to say, hey, do some fun stuff when we looked at the fair. And then I said, oh, and there's even horse races. And then they're like, oh my gosh, well, how do you get on horse races? So now 120 new freshmen understand your logic.
Well, you're welcome.
Which if you missed it, do we get to hear it again?
Oh, so when you go, you can go to the little warm-up ring and watch them warm up. And
Someone says first though that you gotta look for the ones with the.
Don't bet on those.
Don't bet on those horses, and then the recommended way to pick up.
whoever poops when they're warming up.
There it is. Now the
They're a little lighter. Okay, so I'm sorry to bring up this next slide then. Well, while we're laughing, we have a serious thing to talk
Oh,
about.
but we can
Okay.
smile about it because we can just talk about mental health and take care of each other. And the more we talk about it, the more that it is normalized and people can say, hey, I could definitely use somebody to reach out and help and just check on each other. That's the most important thing. But also, we show up on the plaza on September 11th and a whole bunch of people say, hey, this is what we're talking about. Mental health, we're supporting each other, and we are helping the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention do education, prevention, support, and advocacy. So please be part of it. You can still join our team and you can certainly still make a donation. And we are actually a really strong team in our community, and we have been for years, but help us keep that going.
And we have a sign-up genius going out because they need help the day of. So be on the lookout for that.
I haven't heard back from them, but they did ask us, hey, you guys are awesome volunteers, always. And I said, great, tell us when, and I haven't heard.
Okay, good, yeah, familiar.
Vanessa,
Yes,
Maggie has her hand raised.
yes, Maggie,
So,
thank you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know where in the world I will be able to make an announcement, so I thought I would just try it now while you're going through this. One is that I have missed so many of these great activities, and because of that, I'm going to make a donation of $200, 100 to our foundation and 100 to the Rotary Foundation. And then I also wanted to just thank you all for your kindness and your thoughts while I've been away and dealing with my mom's passing. So I just wanted to say that and thank you. And I will make those Venmo donations right now.
Thank you. That's October, we'll be fine. Charlie?
Oh.
I cleaned it up. There was a better picture, but I.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so I took a trip to Alaska. It was wonderful. I flew to Anchorage, and then went to Homer, and I did some fishing. I went to Seward. I went to a place called Orca Islands and stayed in New York. A little bit there. My favorite part was I backpacked in a sort of, it was Moose Lagoon, and yeah, we backpacked in the rain, and just like I was thinking we were gonna head into a cabin with like, I don't know,
Amenities?
like an Airbnb, and it was not at all. It was actually an old trapper's cabin that was built like 100 years ago out of like the logs that were, and it was just by itself, like no fireplace, nothing. The hole was like, so a bear can't get in, and it like goes in, like reminded me so much of like Subic Village, kind of like. Yeah, so it was awesome. It was great. I was like, felt like I was on a real adventure, and I spent the night. A couple nights out at the glaciers, and it was raining there. Like we had a fire, and like we kept it going all day, and we took hikes around the glaciers. We actually did hop in the water with the icebergs and glaciers and stuff like that. So that was really fun. Yeah, it was quite the adventure. We went around rafting, just try to squeeze as much in 10 days as I could.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. He's not here.
Karen Diemer.
Well, yeah. She's gonna update us a little bit on what's going on in the city. At her pleasure.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, you know, I do try to make rounds to just answer questions, to share, to give you a little bit of updates on what's happening with the city. But mostly I prefer to talk about things that are on your mind. So if you have questions, feel free to interrupt me at any time. And we can talk about whatever subject is on the collective minds.
Who are you?
Yes.
I'm Karen Diemer, city manager here in Arcata.
And I've been with the city for 26 years, don't tell anyone. And in this role for the last 8. So I can tell you where a few things are buried, but Luke probably knows where more of them are buried. So, and we'll try to keep it mixed around. Okay, so a little bit of good news. This last, you know, what I share is that as we went into the pandemic, there were a lot of projects that were slowed. There were a lot of projects that were stopped. We didn't know where we would come out financially from the pandemic, but we did go into kind of serious finalization of a lot of planning. So as we come out of the pandemic, what you're seeing, complaining about, calling me about, is a lot of construction around town. A lot of sidewalks being ripped up, a lot of roads being repaired. And we really are coming out with a lot of projects that you will see in the next couple of years. The council has awarded, we have a new 1 million gallon water tank. Marty would love to be here today to hear about it and to share why that's super important in our community. I say water tanks are like maybe my favorite project of all time because they do all good things, right? They prepare us for emergencies. They certainly provide clean water. They support fire suppression. And they help us conserve energy because they allow us to not pump water when energy prices are really high. So they bring our, you know, try to solidify our rates the best we can as well. So we're adding 1 million gallons. It'll go in what we call zone 1, which is everything from basically the university and lower. So that's about 80% of the city, you know, the majority of what we do. And it'll be located out on the north end of town off of West End Road. So for those of us that really geek out on water infrastructure, that's exciting for us because it will be the first time that we could actually isolate a portion of the city and backfeed the rest of the city. If, say, we had a significant fire in the downtown, hopefully that won't happen ever again. But if we did, we could isolate one of those tanks to use for fire and not just blow through everything that we had. Or if we had a, you know, catastrophic emergency at some point, would allow us to better operate our system. So we have that, which will be under construction soon. We did just open bids for what we call phase 1 of our wastewater treatment plant. Those of you that have followed, we've been working for, I'll say in earnest 5 years, but in a lot of ways 10 years on a complete rehab of our naturalized wastewater treatment system. The biggest component of that is trying to get away from chlorine disinfection. We have for 35 years used chemical disinfection to take out the bacteria in our wastewater. That ultimately, even though we dechlorinate the water before it goes into the bay, that is actually just another chemical process. So there is still chemical residue that then goes into the bay. So we've been working to try to eliminate that from our system and move to ultraviolet UV light bulbs, basically, that the water will flow through to do that final disinfection. We opened bids, our engineer's estimate. So any of you that are doing any construction right now know that these are expensive. So engineer's estimate on this phase was 30 to 35 million. Our lowest bid came in at 41 million. We had 2 bids. Our second came in at 52. No, our lowest bid came in at 51 million. And our second came in at 60. So we do have a bid protest with the $10 million differential. So we'll try to work through that. Hopefully we won't need to rebid it. But even so, we are right on the precipice of getting this project off the ground. We have one final permit from the Coastal Commission, which will be hopefully obtaining here in September, and then we'll be ready to go for that. And moving away from chlorine is a huge goal for this community for a lot of years, and will be exciting. We also, so the prices are high. We did set rates, the last city council set rates for a 5-year period to fund all of these capital improvement projects. With cost escalation, those rates are not going to be nearly enough. But the good news is, if there was good news that came out of the pandemic, for whatever reason, the federal government really started funneling money back into infrastructure, and we are sitting in a perfect position. We've gotten notice from the State Water Resources Control Board. We were going to loan, basically take out loans to do all of this and then pay it back with money over time. They've told us that they will convert upwards of $200 million into forgivable loans if we can get this money out the door in the next few years. So this community could not be sitting better. So when we heard that, we're like, well, what else can we do? I'm not going to leave a penny of that unspent if it's not our money. So the council just last week also awarded a bid to do another 10 million in what we call inflow and infiltration. So it lines our sewer pipes. Our sewer pipes sometimes leak, but normally what they do is they absorb additional water from the groundwater, rainwater, or people just replumb their downspout sometimes into the sewer. And then it's very costly for us to treat all of that water when it comes down to the treatment plant. So when you hear people talk about how do we build capacity to grow in this community, and is our wastewater treatment plant going to be a component that would restrict growth? I say on the surface right now, we're at about half capacity of our treatment plant. Our dry weather summer flow is about 45%. Our wet weather is about 35% for the last couple of years, but we've also had very little rain. So what we do know is on years when we have a lot of rain, then our treatment plant can get a little overwhelmed. We bring in a lot of water from outside through pipes. So lining and fixing those pipes, one, protects the environment. Two, stops us from having to shut water off as we fix wastewater leaks throughout the town in the middle of the night. And three, does ultimately really build capacity for growth in our treatment plant because it reduces any of the unnecessary water coming in. So this will be the largest I&I project we've ever done. We did a 3-year project about 5 years ago starting, that was about 7 million. And we figured we gained we reduced about 500,000 gallons of water a day when we really had heavy I&I flow. So hopefully we'll garner at least that again. And that's quite a bit of capacity for us. Luke probably gives you updates on our community ambassador program. But nope, he doesn't.
He will not.
We're just getting going.
We're just getting going, yeah. So he's going to tell me if because people ask me about it. So one of the projects that the programs that the council funded with our rescue plan dollars or stimulus dollars was a 2-year pilot of what are called community ambassadors. And these are individuals that will be hired, and they're going to start as a pilot project in the downtown area. That will be just an extra set of eyes and ears on the ground and assistance to people that are shopping and dining and needing directions and needing advice here in the downtown area. So that program is going to fall under Luke's sergeant position to help coordinate what I tell people, and he's going to kick me from way over there if he needs to, but is that he has selected the first 6 that will be hired, and they are in background, and he's hoping to have them in training in September, and then hopefully by October, we should have them out in the downtown area and starting. So once you see them, I haven't seen their fancy vests, but I saw a bunch of stuff coming in from the mail, so I know he's gotten stuff, but they should be really recognizable. Do reach out and chat with them. A lot of them you'll know. I don't think I can say who they are yet, but, but we'll get them all through background and get them hired. You'll see them out on the street pretty shortly. Another one of the projects that the council funded with our stimulus funds was the safe parking program. Many of you probably saw when we announced that safe parking program was going to be on Snow Boulevard. A lot of other people came to just safely park there. Which I understand. I mean, there's a lot behind that, but we don't get to do things in secrecy in the city. We try to be transparent, but it also does then blend to some of that. So, but the program now, so really thanks to Luke and several of our team at APD, we're able to work with some of those individuals. The very last one, I think they actually code into the safe parking program, which is behind the fence. We have about 25 people in that program. They've moved about 4 into permanent housing so far. And it is really operating well inside the fenced area. There are a lot of families, students back in school. There are a lot of people that go to work every day that are staying in that region. And so it's a very expensive program to run. I don't know yet how we're going to continue to fund it, but we're going to keep looking for that. The intent was to try to build a set of data to show the state that this is a great entry tool for us to get individuals into permanent supportive housing, because the state does not fund this type of program. They don't fund, like 10 camping programs, except for the pandemic, so we trialed that when they said they'd fund anything. We're like, pick some parking lots. But what we do find is that there are a lot of people that are not willing to come into a permanent site, but are willing to come in, especially if they, keep their car, keep all their belongings, and then start to get wraparound services. So we've had some success in the program, but truthfully, there's just no way this community could fund it. It's costing us about $650,000 for a year. And that is just the cost of 24-hour staffing, right? I mean, you just have to have people there 24 hours a day for the environment to be safe for the people that are living in it. So that's the real cost of it. So we'll see, but it's nice to have that program and start to build some of that data. On the permanent supportive, should I stop for a second? I could go on 20 more topics, but okay.
I have a question on behalf of my friend who has to be driven across this road. Is there any plan to repave or fix M Street?
There was a big development that was going to come on to M Street. And now you're talking about between like Alliance
11th and
Alliance. Yeah. I do think that M Street will ultimately get paved. I tend to think your friend will be very disappointed because cars are going to go very fast when it does.
Well, she lives on 11th, but we have to get her across.
But you have to. Yeah. So cities do things a couple of ways. One, it's not a high traveled road right now because there's like 4 houses in Bugcrest, right? There's just not a lot there. So it doesn't tend to make the high priority list for when we're trying to fund roads that have a lot of traffic on them. But there is definitely things in the works around development in that M Street area. I am really.
You gotta wait for the gateway, Terry.
Yeah, when the gateway comes, it will be paved. A part of it, well, like half of it is good. I was just down there the other day because people have been talking about it. So we'll probably do some.
I see a lot of people walking. It looks like high school students because it's just
right now. Yeah, if you go and drop off or pick up time from the high school, it's a pretty popular road. So I'm walking with a group of those neighbors next week out there to take a look at M Street. It's a little too far from the high school to be included in the Safe Routes to School program. And we will probably get it on the paving schedule, but then I just know those poor neighbors are gonna be like, why is everyone going so fast? Like potholes really are good. And if you want to talk to a neighborhood about that, our office rang off the hook with people that really wanted buttermilk all the way up to the golf course. It was in such horrible condition, and now it looks really beautiful. And now they call me, even though there's speed feedback signs and roundabouts, and they're like, still, they'll go too fast. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens with paving. So careful what we wish for. I like good paving, and especially if you're a bicyclist in town. That's a lot of times, sometimes I think we should just really pave the bike lanes and leave the center. But everybody would run me out of town for that one. We also, on the permanent housing side, the council has supported 2 hotel conversions. We call it Project Home Key. These are monies that come from Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom will fund housing. If you will give him new units, not converting existing units, but new units of actual permanent housing, he will pay for it. So we are converting, the Red Roof Inn is being purchased by Danco. That is to close escrow this month, and they will be under construction the day after, or the day it closes escrow. They are ready to come in and start converting each of those hotel rooms into either single, double, or they've got a couple of suites that they'll put in for families for affordable housing. And then the Days Inn will be owned by Arcata House Partnership. So the grant actually purchases the facility, pays for the conversion of the facility, and then offers 5 years of support service for the facility. So it's a significant amount of hotel transition for this community. So if any of you want to be in the hotel business, we're really looking for people to build hotels because we also need hotels, right? We have expanding Cal Poly, we have lots of other business ventures that are going to be bringing folks to this area that need to fly in and visit, and we do need hotel space. But at the same time, we desperately do need housing. So we also, so speaking of just kind of housing in the university was short housing. So many of you have probably heard they've also leased a third hotel that's out in the Valley West area, the Comfort Inn, have 94 students that are being housed out there. It's a pretty fun vibe at the hotel, I have to say. And another project that the council funded with their stimulus funds was community and neighborhood engagement in the Valley West neighborhood. And so that it's called CUNA, and that group has been doing some outreach to the student population, and they're going to be doing a big welcome barbecue. And we're going to open up, if any of you have seen, we've done some artwork. We had a little bit of money in the budget with the CUNA budget that they decided to do a participatory budget process with that neighborhood to see what would you really like if we just had, you know, $10,000 or $20,000, what would you do with that? And part of what they really wanted was to see some art and some upgrades around the basketball court. So we just finished all of those projects. So they'll be doing a small ribbon cutting for those projects and a barbecue for the new students to try to engage them in the neighborhood out there, which is great. Speaking of Valley West and money, so we've been looking for money during the pandemic, and fortunately we've just been really successful. We just are learning, actually the press release will go out today at noon, that we've received a second grant for Carlson Park. So Carlson Park is the only parcel in the entire city of Arcata that touches the Mad River. We acquired that from Caltrans. They purchased the property for mitigation from Ken and Ellen Zanzi several years ago. They completed their mitigation and then transferred the property to the city. There is about 1 acre of upland that will put active recreation, playground, play sport court. Folks want a restroom out there, and then a non-motorized boat launch into the Mad River and walking trails. And so we had one grant that we received for sort of the naturalized upgrades to that, that we already had. And just this week, we've heard that we were one of 12 rural recreation grants in the state that will receive about another $700,000. And then I do have one more secret $1 million funds that will be coming to that site, hopefully in September. So we should have $2 to $2.5 million to put into that site, which is tremendous. So that will be a complete game changer out in the Valley West area. So we have a lot of good things going on. What other questions do we have?
We're gonna get by without some gateway questions.
Okay,
I have two. One, the first one is I'm reading everything I can see about the gateway just to see what's all planned out there. But it seems like from Hell or High Water, they're gonna build 8-story buildings. I mean, they don't want, they want to hear what your opinions are, but I think they're gonna build 8-story buildings. Sure looks like they're just going.
Okay, yes, they want to hear what your opinion is.
We're gonna build those anyway.
And the city will never build an 8-story building, right? The city will not. So this is all private sector. The city doesn't own an inch of property in the gateway. And the question becomes for people is how can we build housing and what values or amenities do we want to continue to see? I would say what I heard, the council had a study session with the planning commission this week, and I heard a pretty straight split between above 6 stories and not, you know. I would say at 8 stories, I would have given that a 50-50 split. 6 stories, I'd say took about 75% of the crowd on the favorable side, and then there was probably at least 25% that were 4-story or more.
Okay, secondarily, I hear him talking about, the reason we're building this is because we need room for students, we need room for traveling nurses, we need room for this and that. How do we keep those from just being totally filled up with an influx of people moving out of the city to a nice rural area in a small little, you know, somebody retires and takes that up and all we do is increase the population of the town? You can't, I don't think you can constrain who buys those units to people that happen to live in this area.
You can't restrict the marketplace, you know, that type of housing. What you can do is try to create a mix of affordable units, of rental units, of home ownership opportunities at different income levels. And so I think that's where the real hard work becomes in our infill planning. And then there are ways, we are working with industries, we are working with people in the healthcare industry to build their workforce housing, right? So when we think about doctors and nurses and PAs and X-ray technicians coming to this area, our healthcare providers, Open Door, Providence, have real interest in making sure they have workforce housing. So we are working specifically with them on them developing their own units that would be able to.
That they would own and control.
They would own and control. So you can find some unique ways to do that, but the truth is, just like we all wanted to move here and love to be here, there are a lot of others that are looking at fire-ridden areas or, you know, congested areas that cannot telework that also want to be in this area. I'm happy to share a slide with you. It's on several of the Gateway videos as well that shows the population of Arcata over the last 30 years. And you look at how we do sort of connect with the university, and then you see where it starts to decouple. You see a period of time where the university population increases, like 2010 to 2015. And we saw it. There was not a single rental in Arcata, and those students pushed out. They pushed out to McKinleyville and to Eureka. And then all of a sudden you see this huge downturn in the university population from a high of about 8,500 in 2015, 16 to this last year at 5,800. I mean, that's a tremendous drop off in student population. And you would have expected to see a drop off in Arcata population in that period. What we saw was the exact opposite. We saw the highest percentage rate of increase in our population that we've seen in the last 30 years. We've seen that in the last 5. So this graph kind of goes together. The university comes up, the university crashes, but the Arcata population soars. You've got this huge delta between those two. That is what the students are feeling trying to move back here now to refill some of those spaces at the university of not being able to find housing. So they've already come. A lot of that population has already come.
And they're gonna, well, it seems like that's one of the real issues that people have to talk about. Are we just, you know, gonna make a flat increase of 3 or 4,000 population per Arcata? And what are those impacts? Because I just would assume they're gonna come from all over.
Yeah, and you'll see if you look through, we had it on the slides from the study session. Most of the study session is audio because it's hard to do Zoom in a room like this per se, you know, and we've got different tables talking. But there is another slide that talks about where would we see that growth. And about 18% of that is probably in the Gateway. 25% of that growth is going to be on campus housing, right? Between or off campus, but campus owned housing. So they're looking at just under 1,950 beds for the Craftsman Mall project. They've got another at least 1,500 beds over time that will be built on campus. So there will be a tremendous amount of that growth that happens right on campus owned properties. But then there is also 5 other upzone areas in our general plan update under consideration right now in the Northtown area, the downtown area, out near St. Louis and Spear Avenue. So there are a lot of other areas where we would see upzoning and higher density housing. And then we still do have some vacant, and we have a lot of space for what we used to call mother-in-law units that are now fancily called ADUs, accessory dwelling units. But that is a good source of increase in terms of housing in this area. If I was just to guess in 20 years what our population would be, you know, somebody will hold me to this in 20 years, but I would guess that we will be right around 25,000. So that could be scary, or that could be like, oh, not so bad. It depends on who I talk to, but realistically, if we had housing to support that, I think our model will show us at about 27 with the bump in Cal Poly and then that kind of leveling off. But I would guess more realistically we'll come in a little bit under that in that 20-year period. And it won't happen overnight.
What are we now?
We're just under 19. Yeah. Other questions? Questions about Gateway?
AJ, did you have a question?
No. Yeah, so the Gateway, for any of you that haven't, we probably have 10 hours of different types of videos that you can learn about infill development and what that looks like. And what I've learned, I would say in the last 6 months, is that if I polled all of you right now and just said, how many of you would want 8-story buildings in Arcata? Not a single hand would go up. You guys did so well in my exercise this morning. But when you start to look through the difference between covering that whole area west of K Street with 4-story buildings, or trying to say, okay, for that, and let's just say that gave us 1,000 units. For those same 1,000 units, if I took 6 of those buildings up to 5 stories, 2 of them up to 6 stories, and 2 of them up to 8 stories, I could now have 4 acres of linear park and open space, right? Instead of it all just being covered. And if you told me that after 3 stories, you were going to set that back like 15 feet. So when I'm actually standing there, all I see is 3 feet above, or 3 stories above me, that look and feel is really different. Like there's a lot that you can do architecturally that doesn't create what you see actually in Sorrel Place. That's 4 stories straight, all sides, right up from the sidewalk. But there are architectural things that you can do to reduce that massing to your community's aesthetic. And that's the detail that I think this community needs to get to. And that's the code that we can create. And that right now, that we call it form-based code. And that code, if we had it right now, is something that the state will honor. I will promise you that Gavin Newsom wants housing. And I will promise you he will continue to strip our ability to control our own development if we don't do it ourselves. And the way we do that is to try to come up creatively with what we want that development to look like. And we put that in a code and we tell developers this is what we want. And then they have certainty. If I build to this code, I will be accepted and appreciated. And I won't spend, I mean, the village, for better or worse, I bet they were into that close to $2 million to walk away. Like, developers aren't going to do that. Right? So the idea is to tell you this is what we want, come and build it, and it will build that look and feel, and the state won't strip that away from us. So it's hard. These are not easy conversations, and I really do encourage you to get involved because this will shape the look and feel of Arcata for probably the next 30 years. So yeah, check it out. On our website, we've got a whole YouTube page with lots of videos on form-based code and what strategic infill can look like. Other questions? I don't know what kind of time I have.
No more questions. We'll have you more often. Sorry. So it is Final Friday. You forgot. And we have some things. Oh, and first we have some new Paul Mary stuff.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, President Vanessa. Peggy, you weren't here last week. Please come up. I get to all of our new members is to make you a Paul Harris Fellow with the agreement that you will donate to the Rotary Foundation too. All right. Easy that was. And last month, oh, she needs to come with you. Last month at Final Friday, I talked about foundation recognition points and handed out pieces of paper. And Charlie gave me hers back and said, she wants to make this beautiful lady Paul Harris Fellow. And your certificate, and I promised Karen, I'm sick of this excuse, but your certificate is caught up in the supply chain, but it will be.
Explain to her what a
Paul Harris founded Rotary over 120 years ago. And our Rotary Foundation, which has raised billions of dollars to do fabulous things in the world, names an award after him when someone donates $1,000 or more. And so that's for you.
But she just embodies the, the Rotary spirit. She's an amazing young woman. She graduated high school early. She did an internship and worked with Tom Perez. She works throughout the community. Right now she's an HSU student. She's in her second year. Cal Poly. Oh, sorry. Yeah, she's one of the hardest.
There's channeling that table there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. She's definitely one of the hardest young working women I know, and she's only 18. She's, she also just got a job at the city. She's our new parking officer. Yeah.
Thank you.
There she is.
conversation about Paul Harris Fellows is you don't have to stop at one. And Claire listened to me, so if you would come up, I have a big pen for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And one of the ways that we raise money for the Rotary Foundation is through our Final Friday auction. And Craig is always a big supporter, and we have 2 bounties of the sea, 1, 2 bounties of the sea.
Yeah, sort of by popular demand because we caught a lot of fish this year. So far, one item is a mix of fish, blue rock fish, black snappers, halibut, lingcod, and 3. And those aren't exactly the 3 jars of canned albacore because I actually just canned last night. So yesterday, so the 3 cans, and I will deliver. You don't have to take it away with you. And then the second package is, I just call it the halibut lovers. This is 12 pounds of halibut. And 3 cans of canned albacore, half pints.
Did you go out Monday?
Oh.
Did you go out Monday?
We did. Cam Appleton and I was in Camp Sun with about 15. And we stopped there because we didn't have any place to
Sound like they're big.
Okay.
All right, so let's crank through this. So we have 10 minutes and we got a bunch of stuff to raffle. Let's start with the halibut lovers. Do we have 200? If you have 200 back, 250? Sure. This is amazing. This fish is so good. Do we have 275? Claire, 300? If you're online, will you keep an eye online? Dick, if anyone's bidding. Do you see the chat? Do you have bidding online?
300 online.
300 online. Do we have 325? 325 to Claire. Do we have 350 online? I don't know who's bidding online.
I got 300 online. Is that?
We're going to 350.
Oh, 350.
350 for halibut lovers.
Yes, we have 350. Yes, 350 online.
Do we have 375?
There's another package, you guys.
There's a second package. It's not just halibut, but we all like halibut. 375? 375 in the back? You're good? All right. 350 on. They're out.
350 to Charlie.
350 to Charlie. All right. We're gonna start with the second package, the Bounty of the Sea mix. Start at 200 as well. 200 to Peggy. 225. 250. 250 to Jessica. 300. 300 to Lisa. 325. 325 to Claire. Online is gonna have to yell if you guys want to get in. 350. Do we have 350? 350. Oh, we got.
Ooh. 700 all day. All right.
All right. 350 to Hansel. 375.
I think I should keep bidding.
Yeah.
Chris, do we have 375?
Yeah.
So 375 online. Anyone want to jump in? 350 to the Hemphills. Once, twice, sold. All right.
See, since you guys are so
Oh.
gracious, I have one more thing.
Oh.
Monday, I have 2 albacore loins. These are considered sushi grade because we bleed them immediately when they hit the deck, practically basically bleed all over the deck. Cam's been cleaning this boat up for 3 days, and then they go right on the ice right then, and they're iced,
$100.
So anyway, 2 albacore loins. You can look online if you want to cook them. Usually put these at the pan sear and you cook them like 1 minute on the side, so you cook this big chunk of meat for 3 minutes. It's basically sushi grade. So anyway, I offer these up to, and I can take them home and put them in my freezer so you don't have to take them with you.
Well, so far we have Vanessa at 100, and she's gonna start eating them for us. Do we have 125? 125? 150? 2 albacore loins. 150.
Claire.
175. All right, 150 going once, twice. Sold to Claire.
Yay.
Woo! What do we have next?
Maggie.
Yes. I
There's a
finally
beautiful
figured-
scarf.
Yes, and I never have taken a picture of myself in front of a mirror before, and I found the best way to do it just like that with the camera on my face. So yes, we have this scarf here, it's handmade, I know it's really too hot where I am, but it's going to cool down and it's really beautiful. So, and it's not $350.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yes, and it can't be made into sushi.
Don't eat it. So let's start the scarf at 50. Is that all right, Maggie?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's start the scarf at 50. Beautiful handmade scarf. 50, do we have 50 in the room? 50? Yes, 50. And that's at 50, do we have 60? 60 online, 60. 50 going once, twice, sold to Vanessa.
Perfect. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you. All right,
I was just going through stuff over here. So Nick, you want to tell us about the sangria stuff around there?
Okay, so I have two big boxes here. One is full of booze. And club soda. So I have two cavas, a red and a white, so that you can make sangria. I have enough fruit here and all the ingredients you need to make probably about two batches, maybe a little left over for
And
the
the
third.
recipes.
And the recipes are in here as well. My idea was it's the end of summer and we want to kind of feel like it's the middle of summer, drink some sangria. My plan was to do it all together, but if you want, we could split it up into 3 different things. I have more fruit at home, so people could take that. I just didn't want to give people too much fruit because then it would go bad if they don't eat fast enough. There's also, what is it, Grand Marnier, what, I don't know how to say it. Whatever.
Orange
The expert, orange liqueur, instead of brandy, because I wasn't sure how boozy you wanted your second. And that's about it. So there's enough here for you to make 3 batches of sangria, red, white, and sparkling.
I would go 200. Those are some nice
And you
bubbles
can also
in there.
split it up if you want. I know Lisa likes white instead of red, so you might want to do that. Or you might want to kava. The 2 kavas go together to make 1 drink.
Okay, I think we just sell it and if people want to.
Split it up and find friends, quickly
Well,
find a friend.
People have a sangria
It's
party.
like, if you need to liquor up before race day.
You don't have much time. You gotta get right on.
Let's start right now. All right, so let's start sangria, 3 batches of sangria, 200? Yeah, I would go 200. Do we have 200 in the back? Do we have 225? 225 online, 3 batches of sangria, or quickly make friends with somebody. Joyce, 200 sold.
All right.
Okay, there's
Do you have a story?
Story about her.
About this?
I have a North Story. This is my wine label. More story wines. This is Pinot Noir from Anderson Valley, which is my favorite place. I worked in that area for 8 years down south working for other people, mostly making Pinot Noir. This is the former Balo vineyard. It was purchased actually the week I harvested these grapes to KJ, Kendall Jackson Vineyard. So sadly I can't get it again. Super special, picked exactly when I wanted it to be picked. Low alcohol, ripe fruit, and this is the Pinot that I always wanted to make. So I'm most proud of this. So I sell it for $29. It's, I would say it's more than that. That's what the Humboldt Marketplace can. Yeah.
And wait, there's something going on.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend.
Saturday night, I have the McGuffin brothers plus Marty Dodd playing. So these guys are mostly Grateful Dead cover kind of guys, but Barney Doyle, who played with Mickey Hart Band, is going to be there. We had a blast last week, and so we just decided to do it again. So tomorrow evening from 6 to 9 at my place on the patio, North Story Wines and Wrangletown Cider. So all ages and outside food as well.
So I'm gonna start this one at 30. I'm gonna bid 30. Romy, do you want 35? What'd you say? 35, do you have 40?
50.
50 to Terry? 60? 60? 70? 60
Who am I
going.
bidding against?
Lily.
Oh, you can have it.
Yeah, okay, time out for 2 things. Amy, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Let's talk about your thing.
Oh, thank you so much. Really quick, September 24th is the comeback of Wild Souls Ranch's fundraiser, Sip of Summer. And I'm looking for volunteers. So I'll come next week and have a sign-up sheet, but I'll also include my email address and phone number in the chat. And if anybody is interested in volunteering, it's from 1 to 5 in Fortuna at Roner Park, and it's a hard cider festival. It's got live music and food trucks and craft vendors. In 2019, we had 600 attendees, so hoping for the same. Anyway, I'll put my info in the chat and I'll be there next week as well. But if anybody's like gung-ho to volunteer, that'd be awesome. I need lots of volunteers, so thank you so much. You can also buy tickets at North Coast Tickets just to go and have fun.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting through it. We have,
Put the raffle real quick.
okay, let's do the raffle.
Let's do the raffle.
All right, today's pot is $60 or $90 if you have a blue ball. Karen, I'll let you pull out 2 tickets here. You gave us so much useful information today. All right. First draw, last 3, 4, 5, 3. All right.
And we cut in front of you.
$5. There you go. And the last 3 of this one is 415. 415. No one. Is Brian again? Nobody? Okay, Brian. All right. Yep, just one. And $5. Right there. Awesome. So next week it'll be $100.
It's beer from Fort Bragg to Crescent City, from Ian.
With love from Ian.
With love from Ian.
10 like tall cans and big bottles. I'm gonna start this guy at 50. 50? Oh, look, I got 250, 60? Either one 60?
80.
80? 90? Once, twice, sold. Every basket. Woo. All right, Claire, what do you want to tell us about these bottles of wine?
So those are from 2 wineries down in the Santa Barbara area, Liquid Farm and Oak Vineyards. They're both old world, low alcohol, European, old kinds of styles of wine. So they're good. Their daughter in Santa Barbara has a son who knows a lot about wine, and those are wineries.
What should I start this one at?
I think they run between 30 and 40 each. So
Old World Chardonnay. Let's start at 40.
Those are great wineries.
Great wineries. You got the winemaker's blessing. 40? 40 over here? 50? 50? Once, twice, sold. Okay. 2 bottles. I'm going to start these 2 together at 50 with my own bid. Joyce, 75? Sure. All right. Do we have 85? I'll bid against Joyce. 85. This is so fun. Joyce, 100? No. Okay. AJ, 100? Anyone be 110? Oh, we got a Pinot and a Chardonnay. 110? 110. No. 110? Go ahead. Did you want to bid here? No. Once, twice, sold. All right, I'm gonna leave it up here with this nice little label. Who bought them? AJ bought the Liquid Farm for 110, and the Hemphills bought this for 200. That's it.
Okay, quick guys. Thank you very much. See you at the races. Terry has
13:30. Thank you very much. And the kettle over here are pretty simple.
Yes. Yes, let's do it. This is for a listing.
I do it next week. Okay, it's
This is for Elizabeth and her kitchen crew before you leave. Check your server.
I'm gonna put it up and put it over here, okay?